CockFM Radio. It's all about you.
Alright, thank you for joining us on another edition of your favorite program on radio. That's the headliners on CockFM Radio today, Wednesday, the 10th of May 2023. In a short while, we're going to be looking at what the big stories are on the cover of our national newspapers. Well, today we have a lot of newspapers to review. We're going to be looking at Business Day, Daily Independent Newspaper, The Nation, Daily Sun, Daily Trust, The Guardian, The Punch, Vanguard Newspaper, and Daily Times. And of course, I'm your host, Olufemi Peters. Without further ado, we're going to be starting off today's edition with a review of Business Day newspapers, where the cover story says, the Buhari Legacy Series, Telecoms becomes Nigeria's golden goose against all odds. You'll find details of this story on page 30 of today's edition of Business Day. And now we look at the cover of Daily Independent Newspaper today. Buhari canvasses support for Adeleke's programs in Osun as Supreme Court affirms his election as governor. Jubilation in Osun as Adeleke dedicates victory to God, says will of the people has survived anti-masses forces. That is the cover story for Daily Independent today. You'll find that story on page 29. Now, very quickly, let's give you a rundown of some of the stories on the cover of Daily Independence. 2023 election most hard-fought competitive race. Gbajabiamila says power to oversight, not an invitation to conflict. Presidential election court adjourns Atiku PDP APM cases to May 11. Buhari to address new returning governors at NDF induction. Former American governors to attend inauguration. FAAN orders airlines to relocate aircraft from Abuja Airport. Nigeria orders contribute 97% of global preventable maternal mortality. RT200 exporters repatriate 7.3 billion in 18 months. That's according to Emefiele. Now, CBN is to publish beneficiaries of non-oil export rebate. PDP explains why he insists on live broadcast of tribunal proceedings. A federal government approves Transcorp Power as preferred bidder for Abuja Disco. And now moving on to The Nation newspaper today, Wednesday, 10th of May 2023. Cover story for The Nation. National Assembly, Akpabio, Abbas rally lawmakers for support. House Speaker, Deputy Speaker candidates visit President-elect. Senate President candidate widens support base. North Central Senators protest zones neglect. Those are the riders to that story, and of course you'll find that story on the cover of today's edition of The Nation newspaper. And now that there's an interesting quote on the cover of The Nation today, it's accompanying a picture. That's the cover photo for The Nation, and this quote says, "It is only natural for one with the requisite qualification and gumption to occupy such an exalted office." You want to find out who this quote is attributed to. Get a copy of today's edition of the Nation newspaper. We're going to be looking at some of the stories still on the cover of the Nation. Buhari Tinubu congratulates Adeleke. Petrol subsidy pushing Nigeria to bankruptcy, Sanusi warns. El Rufai, Buhari declined advice to end payment. Oshibajo inaugurates Transcorp's Afam 240 megawatts fast power plant. Tribunal adjourns Atiku's motion on live telecast. And now very quickly, today's edition of Daily Sun, the cover story, presidential election. Tribunal entertains Atiku's pre-hearing petition tomorrow. Tinubu asks court to dismiss APM suit against his victory. Pro-democracy group tasks CJN on fair judgment. That's the cover story for today's edition of Daily Sun. Okay, this is another major story on the cover of Daily Sun still. Jubilation in Osun as Supreme Court affirms Adeleke governor. Governor dedicates victory to God as Buhari solicits support for him. And now we look at today's edition of Daily Trust newspaper. Cover story for Daily Trust today. Revenue sharing formula. El Rufai wants 80% for states, revert to 1963 constitution. Soludo advocates devolution of powers. Let's deploy tech to diversify economy. That's according to Pantami. And now the Guardian newspaper. Amid 168% tariff hike in 8 years, Nigerians pay a premium for unavailable electricity. That's the cover story for the Guardian. Today you'll find that story on page 4. And I will look at the Punch newspaper. Presidential poll. Tribunal to consider PDP Labour Party's live broadcast request. Broadcasting proceedings live is of national importance, Atiku's legal team and Labour Party insist. Justice Samani promises speedy treatment of demand. APC vows appropriate response. That's the cover story for the Punch. And you will find that cover story on page 2. Now moving on to some other stories still on the cover of the Punch. Speaker, 5 aggrieved aspirants team up against Abbas. Otedola films over Transcorp deal. Elumelu keeps mum. Over $200 billion national assets lost to terrorism. That's according to the federal government. Final victory. Buhari Tinubu congratulates Adeleke. Supporters jubilate. 15 die in Sokoto boat accident, 25 missing. Lagos bishop raped me twice. That's according to a female pastor. Federal government authors private jet removal from Abuja airport. And now we're looking at the Vanguard newspaper. The cover page for the Vanguard today, Wednesday, 10th of May 2023, has its cover story has 10th National Assembly leadership crisis rocks APC over zoning of Senate President Speaker. Now, this story has some riders. National Working Committee divided over micro-zoning of positions. North Central insists on speakership slot. Northwest seeks Senate presidency. 18 North Central senators elect kick. National Working Committee divided. Oyebanji Ekiti senators elect back Akpabio. Southeast APC group hails party's decision. Baja's men go after members elect for signature. Freshers form New Dawn movement as Wase, Ado Dogua others meet. National Assembly members elect will determine their leaders. That's according to the PDP and Labour Party. New rules favoring open balloting raises dust. For details of this story, get a copy of the Vanguard newspaper today, and you'll find that story on page 5. And now looking at Daily Times newspaper, thanks National Assembly. NWC's endorsements polarize APC as CPC, ACN, AMPP factions emerge. That's the cover story for today's edition of the Daily Times. Alright, that's all time permits us on today's edition of the Headliners on CockFM Radio. Till I come your way again tomorrow, my name is Olufemi Peters. For more info and updates, visit our social media platforms via CockFM Radio Live on Facebook, CockFM on Twitter, CockFM Radio Live on Instagram, and CockFM Radio Live on YouTube. I want to thank you for listening. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
CockFM Radio. It's all about you.